Delighted to be, as I said, sharing with you and here today. Um, One of the things I took, it was wonderful to hear Alex and Lizzie of Hawkesby, and also yourself, Alina, and Alex earlier on. And one of the themes that came through from both of your discussions earlier on, from their presentation and your discussions, that I really took was that freelancers actually are happy being freelancers. They're happier, they like doing what they're doing, and like being in control of what they're doing. So that very much is something that I am very conscious of, and we're conscious of. And I'm going to share with you. You asked me to speak about the role freelancing plays in the future of work. And as part of it, looking at how I can uh, help freelancers better understand this, I decided to draw on research that MBO Partners has some surveys and research that we have produced at MBO Partners, and also other research from other organizations to help you to understand the role freelancing plays in the future of work. And from the start, what I'll talk about in the next half an hour, we're going to look at the workforce trends. It's going to be from the company's point of view. The first piece of research is what large companies that take on freelancers and work with freelancers, what they're experiencing. So it's research from those companies. Then looking at research from freelancers, I want to discuss as well and touch on some new things that are happening, that we're seeing happening in the marketplace, the branded talent marketplace is workforce optimization, and finally then to look at a look at the future, what freelancing, what we can predict down the lines. So the first piece of research that MBO Partners undertook here that I want to share is the Contingent Labour Report 2022. Now, it is based on a survey of 500 senior HR leads in large corporations. It is US based, but those large corporations are all over Europe also. So they're very large employers in Europe also. So it's very indicative of what we're seeing out in the market. So among the I suppose highlights and areas that I will touch on is agile enterprises, that they're the companies and businesses that benefit most from the contingent workforce and engaging with freelancers. The contingent labor is here to stay. I think we all know that and we all believe in that. So freelancing and contingent work is here to stay. The gift that keeps giving, this is referring to the companies that take on a lot of freelancers. They actually see the benefit of taking on those freelancers, and they see what it does for them and what benefits it brings to their organizations. We'll dig into then and just look at what the top reasons that these companies take on contingent labor, and also just touch on the growth in direct sourcing, which is where the there is talent resourcing is done internally in a lot of these companies in engaging and identifying freelancers. So firstly, agile enterprises. What do we mean by agile enterprises? Well, what has become clear from the research is that some companies benefit significantly from bringing on freelancers and independent workforces and blending them with their traditional workforce. And what we call them is savvy companies. They're the companies that they can improve their workforce flexibility. They can grow their workforce through the freelancer talent that they can bring on to get projects done and get more work actually done and be more productive. They can get access to scarce talent. We all know about this war for talent, and that highly skilled people are very much sought after. These companies are able to take those highly skilled people in to work alongside their traditional employees, to actually get more work done and to be able to fill any gaps that they may have within the organization. So one of the other things as well is that these agile enterprises, they are planning to substantially increase their use of contingent labor. So they've seen how it works and how it benefits them, and they're looking to do more of it going forward. as part of the research, what became very clear is contingent labor is here to stay. 28% of the workforce of those companies surveyed is contingent labor. So nearly 1 in 3 workers at the large enterprises are contingent workers. And then when we look to the future and what their expectations are, they're expecting, these corporations are expecting this percentage to grow to 33% in 18 months and to grow to 36% in 5 years. So the number is growing, and it's even growing faster in the companies that are already using contingent labor. And this isn't surprising, really, when you look at it, because the companies that are doing this, they actually see the benefits. They're reaping the rewards from it. They see the benefits, and they plan to do more as a result of that. And just to reinforce that, the enterprises with a high share of independent and contingent workers plan to increase their use of labor substantially more than those with lower shares. And if we look to the graph here, we can see that along the bottom, it shows the percentage of contingent in these companies, right? At 0 to 25% contingent, they expect to 40% of those companies expect to increase substantially their contingent workers in the next 5 years. When we move up the scale to 26 to 50% contingent workers in a business, 50% of those expect to increase that substantially over the next 5 years. And then when we go to the higher level, that of a higher level of contingent workers, 56% plan to increase substantially over the next 5 years. So we call it the gift that keeps giving. And the reason for saying that is that those that identify and have it working, that the freelancers and independent workers they bring in add to their productivity and allow them to get a lot more work done. They have proven it, and they are looking to do it more and increase the percentage of contingent workers going forward. And then when we look at the reasons why do these large corporations use contingent labor? Well, we all know that companies will from time to time have additional workload. So that's not surprising that they'll be looking to meet temporary workload needs and increasing productivity, getting tasks done more quickly. That's all part of day to day and getting things done and managing to go from A to B to C and serve the needs of the company. But accessing specialized skills and hard to find talent. And that is something that we're seeing a lot more in the contingent worker programs that companies have, is because the war for talent means it is very difficult to get all the skill sets that you want, that the business needs to continue to grow and go forward. Through the bringing in freelancers and independent workers, this allows highly skilled people to come in and work alongside the traditional workforce, the traditional employee, and allows them to get more done. And previously, many companies would have rather take on permanent workforce for the highly skilled people. They have now moved because they know that if they want to get these people in, people are choosing to work independently. So a lot of the highly skilled people are available as independents, but would not be willing to work as a full-time employee in these companies. And if we look at the graph on the right here, the share, 82% of companies surveyed said that skilled workers made up half or more of their contingent workforce. So it's highly skilled workers that are the ones that are making up the bulk of this workers, and that's seen as the important area for these companies. And from a freelancer's point of view, when you look at how you are going to get your work and who you're going to get your work from going forward, it's good to know that This is the highly skilled workers. It's in the areas of demand where the talent is, that they really need you as a freelancer to help them to actually go about and developing and growing their businesses. So what are the top reasons for direct sourcing? We're seeing that a lot of companies are bringing it in-house. They have in-house talent acquisition teams that help them to find uh, independent workers and freelancers that they can use as part of their workforce. So the reasons that they're doing it in-house, and from the survey, the results that we've seen is that the greater access to specialized skills, which isn't surprising, finding and hiring the specialized talent. It increases the quality of freelance work. So if they have a direct sourcing model and that they can find and people internally themselves for freelance work, they're getting a better quality of freelancer and a better quality of work, and ensuring the consistency of the work quality. We're seeing freelance talent benches where they have people ready that can be quickly deployed and accessed and brought in to projects that they have in the company. For doing direct sourcing, reducing costs is you normally and usually touted as one of the main reasons. While it is a reason, an important reason, it is not one of the main reasons. It comes down fourth in this list. But there are cost savings and labor costs by doing the direct sourcing. And finally, increasing hiring manager satisfaction, the work quality and the access to the talent that the management can get. So that first part that I really wanted to cover was in relation to companies and the research that we have, that what companies are doing and what they need and how they see the freelancer part of their workforce developing and evolving. From your perspective as a freelancer, it's to look at how you can get on their radar of the companies that you want to work with, and how you can best market yourself to those companies, including get in front if they have in-house talent acquisition team and they're doing direct sourcing, that you want to be on their radar. You want them to have your information and you on in their pool of talent. The next part here, I just want to go on to freelancers themselves and share with you an additional piece of research. This is the annual State of Independence report that MBO has been doing for the last 11 years. Again, it's US based, but it's very much close to what is happening in Europe and what we're seeing elsewhere in the world. The State of Independence report came out at the end of 2021, came out at the end of last year, and it showed a significant, the largest growth ever of independent workers in the US, reaching 51 million. So that's a 34% growth from 38 million previously. 13 million new independent workers in that year. Now we ask ourselves, how come it is so significant in that year? We've got to remember that this was COVID time, lockdown time, during the pandemic, when people began to ask themselves questions and say, do I want to continue doing this work that I have been doing for the rest of my life, the last 10 years? Do I want to continue doing that? A lot of people started searching and thinking and looking at what they wanted to do. And we all have heard of the Great Resignation. We always term that as the Great Realization, because it was people saying, I don't want to keep doing and go back to doing what I have been doing for the last 10 years. I want to take a little bit more control of my life. I want to decide how I want to work. And that's what has fed into a lot of that growth during that time. And of that growth, 68% of newcomers were Gen Z or millennials. That is 68% of that 13 million growth were effectively under 40. So it shows that it's younger people are making the decisions to change and choose how they want to work going forward, which is a great thing. That shows that the freelancing is growing and getting stronger, and that it will continue to grow, and people taking more control of their lives. 2 out of 3 believe they are more secure as independents than traditional workers. 87% say they are happier, and 78% say they're healthier working independently. And it goes back to what Alex and Lizzie were saying in Hawkesby earlier, that freelancers are happier working for themselves. They're happy. It's a choice. It's a lifestyle choice that brings a flexibility to do the type of work you really want to do with the clients that you really want to work with. And this has been consistent over all of the years of the MBO State of Independence report. It has been consistent that freelancers are happier and they believe that they are more secure than traditional workers. And with the growth, it has been easier. It has never been easier for a new person to become a freelancer or independent worker because of the online platforms that have acted as powerful facilitators. So we have another report which from McKinsey, which is the American Opportunity Survey from 2022 that came out in the summer. And this as well has similar findings to the MBO State of Independence report. The number of independents is at 58 million. Now, this, you've got to remember that this was taken a little bit later, probably 6 months later than 6 to 8 months later than the MBO State of Independence report. So 58 million was the figure that they had as independents. Interestingly, far more optimistic. Independents and freelancers are far more optimistic about their futures than traditional workers. The most optimistic are those who do the work because they enjoy it or because of the autonomy and flexibility it offers. It's the choosing of what you want to do and who you want to do it with, the type of work you want to do and the type of clients you want to work with. That is what brings makes people happier, gives them control of what they're doing and where they're doing it. And unsurprisingly, on the other side, the least optimistic were those that felt they had to do it for additional discretionary income. So largely would be people who might have a traditional job but need to do some gig work on the side for additional discretionary income. So these findings from the McKinsey survey line up and tie in very, very clearly with the MBO survey also and the State of Independence report. What we're seeing in the marketplace, branded talent marketplaces, company branded and curated platforms that connect external contingent talent with internal projects and teams. So this is where there are freelancers, independent workers that are known to the business and that are within a marketplace talent pool that the business would look to draw on as they need this skill set for projects. And the companies that use this have a high level of satisfaction and how it's working. It works really, really well for them. It gives them access to specialized skills, increased productivity and ability to get tasks done quickly. And we're seeing more and more of these marketplaces evolving for companies, and companies looking to have this as part of their direct sourcing to be able to access freelancer talent as and when they need it. Workforce optimization is something we're hearing a lot of about as well. And this is about reaching the ideal workforce mix between traditional employees and contingent workers. It's very clear, as we mentioned, contingent workers and freelancing is growing, and it will continue to grow. And companies are realizing this and they need to find whatever the ideal mix is between their traditional employees and the contingent workers. There isn't an optimum mix. It's going to vary by company and by sector, and it'll be quite individual for different companies. But what we are seeing is that the consulting firms, the large consulting firms, they're the ones that are leading the way. They're pulling in talent to allow them to do projects that they deliver to their clients. So the consulting firms are using this as a way to sell more to their clients because they have their permanent traditional workforce, and then they have large teams of highly skilled people that they will draw on for projects, bring them in, who work with their internal teams to get a project done at a client. And when that project is over, they will either be another project with the same company at a different client, or else the freelancer will move on and do something completely different with somebody else. And some of the features of how this operates, the workforce optimization, and how this companies are operating this. Really, it's a talent pool, but it's a talent pool that is curated, so they know the information. It's proven known talent. What they want to do is to work and continually rework with these people when they have projects that are suitable for them, so that they know the company. They're easy to onboard. It's quick, it's understand. There isn't as much training. There isn't as much of them trying to understand the culture of the company. It's they come in for projects. They go away and work elsewhere when that project is finished. Then they come back for another project when a suitable one comes up. So easy and quick. There are massive benefits for the company. It gets them on quickly. There are huge benefits for freelancers to be in these talent pools because these companies will keep coming back and dipping into it for those skill sets. And many are creating a virtual bench so that they can move things quickly. So they will have all of the any clearance or background checks or anything they need to have done completed in advance so that they can move very quickly, get a speedy deployment and get them in so they can get work on the projects done as quickly as possible. And when I speak about the large consulting firms, that allows them to get out into clients and start billing their clients and getting the work done that's required to be done at the clients. And finally, I just wanted to look at freelancing. I look to the future. So from all of this information and all of this service, what can we take from it of where it's going? Well, I suppose definitely freelancing is growing. It's growing among freelancers. It's being chosen as a way to work. More people are leaving traditional and permanent employment to strike it out on their own. They have the skills and they want to be more in control of what they're doing, the type of work they're doing, and the type of companies they want to work for. The demand for freelancers in organizations and companies is continuing to grow. There's a realization that freelancers will form a very, very big part and important part of the whole workforce at the company that allows them to get work done, to be more productive, to have the skill sets that they need. And big corporations are moving towards project work anyway. There's so much project work going on, and to get all that work done requires high levels of skills, and there will continue to be large demand for freelancers. Some businesses get it, some don't. Some realize that by bringing on freelancers, they can get a lot more done, get it done quickly, and get access to skill sets. Some just have never really got set up for it and have not been doing it and get left behind because of that also. And it's awareness for you as a freelancer to focus on the ones that are very much open to taking freelancers on and bringing in the skill sets that they need. We've been through a couple of years of a pandemic, and there is no doubt that that has accelerated trends at a much faster pace. It led to that significant growth of 34% in independent workers. It has led to people choosing what they want to do, being more selective in what they want to do and going into freelancing. It has also led businesses and companies to have to react to the war for talent. Remote working, as we mentioned before, as Hoxby mentioned, people want to work from home. They want to be able to do things like that. Freelancers, that is the way freelancers have always operated. So it plays into that. The technology has improved to make it easier. Businesses are much more capable of dealing with people working remotely than they were pre-pandemic days. Direct sourcing is growing. It's becoming an important part for a lot of businesses because they're realizing the difficulty they're having of finding talent and getting talent in. So they're bringing their own resourcing in-house to help them do this for the freelancers. And the increase in the use of platforms makes it easier for people and freelancers to start, to get their first leg. It makes it less frightening for somebody who is moving from a permanent role, a permanent job, into a freelance role, because they can use platforms to help them to find clients and to get set up. And it makes it easier to start. So thank you. That is what I wanted to share with you. I think freelancing is in a great place. I think there is the world is moving in a way that makes freelancing more important and easier going forward. And I think the great thing, as I mentioned at the start, is that freelancers are happier. And there is a reason for that, because freelancers are more in control of what they're doing. They're choosing who they do it for and what they're going to do. The research I shared is it's on MBOPartners.com website. If you go into MBOPartners.com and insights, you'll find details of that research. And very happy to answer anything if anyone wants to send me any questions or anything like that.